Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I never imagined I would be caught in the middle of a family inheritance war, but here I am. So let's start from the beginning. Growing up, my family seemed perfect. My parents, Mark and Anna, were a couple everyone envied. High school sweethearts who created a beautiful life together. My mother came from a wealthy family, and though she never flaunted her wealth, it was clear that we lived comfortably. My father, on the other hand, came from a more modest background. But my paternal grandmother, Eleanor, had built a successful real estate business and was extremely well off. Everything changed when I was 10 years old. My father had an affair with his secretary, Lisa, and to make matters worse, Lisa became pregnant. When the affair came to light, my father left my mother to be with her. The divorce was the worst thing that happened to me. My mother was devastated, but my grandparents on her side stepped in to support us, ensuring that we lacked for nothing. Meanwhile, my father quickly remarried Lisa and welcomed my half-sister, Olivia, into the world. My grandmother, Eleanor, however, did not take my father's betrayal lightly. She had always adored my mother and treated her like a daughter. The moment my father left, she cut him off emotionally. She outright refused to have anything to do with Lisa or Olivia. She made it clear that she still considered my mother to be part of the family, but my father, he had destroyed her trust. This led to an interesting dynamic. Since Lisa had no family and my father had burned his bridges with my grandmother, Olivia grew up without grandparents. And because of that, my father and Lisa showered her with attention, making sure she never felt the absence of extended family. She was their golden child, while I was the inconvenient reminder of my father's first marriage. They still made an effort to see me, but it was clear I would never come first in their eyes. I remember birthdays and holidays where Olivia was lavished with expensive gifts, while I received obligatory tokens of affection. One Christmas, she got a designer bag, an iPad, and a trip to Disneyland, while I got a sweater and a book. My father would always justify it by saying, "She doesn't have the grandparents that you do," as if love and care should be measured like that. Fast forward to when I turned 21. My father invited me out for lunch, which was unusual. Normally, any meetings with him involved Olivia, so I was surprised that he wanted to see me alone. We sat down, and after some small talk, he dropped a bombshell. "I wanted to talk to you about my will," he said. I stared at him, confused. "Your will?" He nodded. "Yes, I want to be upfront with you. I've changed it. I'm leaving everything to Olivia." I felt like I had been punched in the gut. "What?" He sighed, as if I was being difficult. "Look, you have your mother's side of the family. Your grandparents are wealthy, and they've always been there for you. Olivia has no one but Lisa and me. I need to make sure she's taken care of." I could barely process what he was saying. "So you're just cutting me out?" "It's not like you'll ever need the money," he said dismissively. "You have your maternal grandparents and your paternal grandmother. Olivia has no one else. It's only fair." I left that lunch feeling hollow. I had never counted on inheriting anything from my father, but the sheer audacity of him deciding that I didn't need to be part of his legacy just because I had other family. I spent days mulling it over before I finally decided to visit my grandmother, Eleanor. She had always been honest with me about her feelings toward my father, and if anyone would understand my frustration, it was her. When I told her what my father had done, she was silent for a long time. Then she nodded and said, "I always knew he was selfish, but I didn't think he'd be that cruel." 2 weeks later, she called me over again. We sat down in her study, and she handed me a document. It was her revised will. "I've changed everything," she said. "Since your father has made it clear that he has no place for you in his legacy, I'm making sure you are taken care of in mine. Everything I own, my businesses, my properties, my assets, it's all going to you." I was stunned. "Grandma, are you sure? It's not Olivia's fault for what my father did." She nodded firmly. "Your father has turned his back on you. He chose to put Olivia first, so now I'm putting you first. I know it's not Olivia's fault, darling, but I just can't get over the thought of who her mother is. Also, I don't know this girl, and that was my choice." I didn't argue. I simply hugged her and thanked her for always being there for me. Fast forward 5 years. My grandmother passed away at the age of 87. It was devastating, but at the same time, I was grateful for the time we had together. I had been by her side during her final days, and I knew she had lived a full life. At the reading of her will, my father and Lisa were present, expecting what, I don't know. Maybe they thought she had changed her mind over the years. Maybe they assumed she would split her estate fairly. But when the lawyer announced that I was inheriting everything, my father's face turned bright red. "What?" Lisa shrieked. "That can't be right." The lawyer simply nodded and continued reading. My father exploded. "This is insane! That estate should belong to the family, not just her." I sat there, silent, while Lisa ranted about how unfair it was. And then Olivia, now 15, spoke up in a small voice. "But what about me?" My father turned to me, his eyes burning with anger. "You can't be serious about keeping all of this. Olivia deserves something. She's family too." I finally spoke. "Like you kept everything for Olivia? Like you decided I didn't need anything because I had other family?" He was speechless. Lisa, however, wasn't. "If you don't share it with Olivia, we will sue you." I almost laughed. "On what grounds?" My father clenched his fists. "She's my daughter too. This isn't right." "Well, I'm your daughter too, but funny, because 5 years ago, you sat me down and told me Olivia deserved everything because she had no other family. Now, you want me to share what was freely given to me. It's a little bit hypocritical, isn't it?" They tried everything. Guilt-tripping, threats, even calling my mother to try to get her to talk me into splitting the inheritance. Nothing worked. The truth is, I don't need the money. My maternal grandparents are still alive and have been generous with their wealth. But I refuse to give in just because my father suddenly realized that favoritism has consequences. So, Reddit. Am I the a-hole for refusing to share my grandmother's estate with my half-sister after my father disinherited me first? OP's father made his choice years ago when he decided that Olivia was more deserving of his legacy than OP. He sat OP down and justified cutting her out because he believed OP didn't need anything from him. But now that he's on the receiving end of the same treatment, suddenly it's unfair? The entitlement is mind-blowing. He never considered how it felt for OP to be cast aside, and now he expects OP to be the bigger person and fix the problem he created. OP owes them nothing. If they try to sue, OP needs to let them embarrass themselves in court. They wouldn't have lifted a finger for OP in the same situation. And now let's hear the community's opinion. The level of hypocrisy here is unreal. Your father looked you in the eye and told you that you wouldn't be included in his will because you had other family. He had no problem deciding that his assets should only go to Olivia because she supposedly had no one else. Now that he's on the losing side, he suddenly thinks inheritance should be split fairly? That's not how it works. He set this precedent himself. If Olivia was the only child who mattered to him, then she should have been the one to inherit everything. From him, not from your grandmother. And your stepmother trying to guilt-trip you into handing over what was legally given to you. That's just pathetic. They never once considered your feelings when they pushed you aside. And you don't owe them kindness now. Not the a-hole. Your father and stepmother had no issue disinheriting you when it suited them, assuming you'd never need anything because you had your mother's side of the family. They made sure Olivia was spoiled and showered her with everything, while you got leftovers. They fully expected you to just accept that decision without argument. But now that karma has caught up with them, they want you to be fair and give up your inheritance? Nope. They don't get to act like victims now. Your grandmother made her decision for a reason. She saw how they treated you and wanted to make things right. If they're furious about it, that's their problem, not yours. Do not give them a cent. If they try to take you to court, they'll only be wasting their own money because they don't have a legal leg to stand on. Hold your ground and enjoy what was rightfully left to you, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole, but your father and stepmother? 1000% the a-holes. It's not even about the money at this point. It's about the sheer audacity of them expecting you to undo the consequences of their own actions. They made a conscious decision to prioritize Olivia over you for years. They didn't just treat you unfairly. They actively excluded you from their lives when it suited them. Now that they're facing the same treatment, They suddenly want to talk about family loyalty? Absolutely not. You don't owe them anything. This isn't about revenge. It's about protecting yourself from people who only see you as useful when they need something. Don't let them guilt you into giving up what was legally and rightfully left to you. They played a selfish game, and they lost. That's on them. My sister Kelly never dated a lot. She would go out with friends all the time, but not really a one-on-one date though. My now husband and I have been dating for almost 5 years, early high school, and had been engaged for over a year. Wanted a spring wedding and needed time to save money. Kelly was a bridesmaid, not my choice, and only attended one bridal shower. I think I had 4. Well, our wedding was less than 3 months away, and I was very excited. When Kelly walks into the house, we both still lived at home, and announces, "I'm getting married." I absolutely congratulated her and asked, "Who are you marrying?" Kelly says a name. I honestly don't even remember. And everyone goes, "Oh," because no one even knew who he was. Grandma asks the critical question, "And when is this going to take place?" Kelly replies, "I just figure we could get married at Katie's wedding. It will be cheaper because everybody is already there. The bar and food are already paid for, etc." Shocked faces all around. My parents aren't paying for my wedding. I am. I'm at a loss for words and just leave and go to my fiance's husband's apartment. After I calm down, we come up with a plan. We feign excitement for Kelly and amp up the emotional scale by giving her a list of wedding to-dos that she needs to get done, like months ago. I even offer to take her dress shopping so that our dresses won't clash. Ask if she's okay with my bridesmaids and does she want to replace someone in her place. Take her bridesmaid dress, etc. Kelly tells me, "Don't worry about my wedding, just worry about your own." So I leave her alone. In the next few days, Kelly comes home with a really old wedding dress. Not nice, not vintage, not an antique, just ratty, old, and ugly. That doesn't even fit her. This dress was at least 4 sizes too large. When she tried it on to show all of us, it had tears in the lace and stains of an unknown source. Mom asked where she got it and where she was going to get this altered in time for the wedding. Kelly says, "I thought you and Grandma could fix it for me." Grandma just laughs and says, "My days of sewing are over, arthritic hands." Mom says, "I don't think I can fix this. Where on earth did you get this?" Kelly pitches a fit and huffs. "You're all just jealous. I got a dress for free, and it's going to look better than Katie's." After she storms out, the 3 of us roll our eyes and laugh. You might be wondering why my family didn't try to tell Kelly she couldn't get married at my wedding. Well, 1, everyone knew it was never ever going to happen. 2, if we had just said no, then she might try to really ruin my wedding. And 3, we were hoping that if Kelly did get married, she wouldn't be around causing drama for everyone. Less than a month before my wedding, Kelly has said nor done anything concerning her wedding. She has even gone to some of the fittings for her bridesmaid dress. Then, one night, my brother and I asked Kelly, "So, when do we get to meet this guy?" Kelly starts on one of her rants that she's not getting married. Why would she want to be a part of my lame-o wedding? Her wedding will be so much classier and bigger than my wedding, etc. I'm off the hook. Less than a week before the wedding, Kelly walks in the house with a purple mohawk. Grandma asks her what the heck she was thinking. Kelly says, "My dress is lilac and my hair is purple. I will be the prettiest girl at the wedding." I really didn't care what she looked like. I honestly didn't think she was even going to show up for the wedding. She was very embarrassed about her wedding. Mom and Grandma made it a point to tell everyone at the last bridal shower, the only one she attended, about Kelly getting married too. Wedding day was good, lots of drama all around, and relatives and in-laws raised some eyebrows at my sister's hair. But the day wasn't about her, and she sat in the back of the reception. Her choice, because it was the closest to the bar. The aftermath? Kelly has never married. She has come out, as the entire family had long suspected. She's had several partners. Some were awful, some were all right, and one was amazing. Oh my God, your sister is a freaking poisonous train wreck psychopath nightmare. There's the series on Netflix that reminds me of your sister so much. It's called Haters Back Off. I'm sure you don't want to be reminded of her any more than you have to. Long. Like really long. My younger sister lives an entitled life and expects me to pay for it. My sister Kelly feels that I owe her and this is one of the last times she tried it. This happened quite a while ago, but it still makes me mad. My sister is horrible with money. She has no savings and horrible credit. She was in her 20s and still couldn't get a car loan by herself, not without a sizable deposit and a cosigner. So she convinced my dad to be her cosigner on a crappy car to get her to work. Our dad lived in another state and really just wanted to help her. She is very excited to get her car and show off a car that many 16-year-olds wouldn't have. It was a beater car that she overpaid for, and the interest rate was 28%. I'm not kidding. About 5 months later, the entire electrical system on the car shuts down. Kelly calls our dad in Kentucky, and he asks her what he is supposed to do. He lives almost 500 miles away. She throws a tantrum. She has perfected her execution and says to call me. Now, I have been put in similar situations before and tell Kelly that I will arrange to have her car towed to a mechanic or a dealership, whichever she preferred, but that I am not paying for anything, not the towing, not the repairs, and that she is still responsible to keep up her insurance and paying her loan every month. You know, adulting. She promises. So the car gets towed to the shop, repairs are underway, and Kelly is suspiciously keeping informed about her car. Now, in the meantime, Kelly is borrowing one of our cars, late model large sedan, and me and my family go on a planned vacation to San Francisco for a week. While we are in California, Kelly calls to tell me her car is ready, and I tell her that's great, and be sure to test drive before you leave and ask about warranties, etc. And she can leave our car at our house, and we can get the key when we get home in a few days. When we get home from vacation, the car is in the driveway. Back seat is completely filled with a myriad of fast food trash, but we have it back, and I can clean it up. Not too bad, just a lot of time. I cleaned everything, completely detailed the car. We were getting ready to sell it. About 2 weeks later on a Saturday night, I get a frantic call from Kelly. "Oh my God, my car caught on fire." I said, "What?" She screams at me, "My ducking car is on fire." I asked her if she called 911, and she screams, "Yes, the fire department is here now." I tell her it sounds like everything is under control and I will talk to her in the morning. It was after 1 a.m. The following morning, we wake to find our car is missing. I called Kelly and asked about it, and she said she needed the car more than we do, and she made a friend drive her over to pick up her car. I informed her that in no way was that her car, and until insurance has arranged a rental for her, she can still borrow our car. I know, I have a doormat printed on my face. Almost 2 weeks later, and I still don't have my car back, and more troubling is that I haven't heard from Kelly for several days. When, on the following Monday, my phone starts to ring, I'm getting calls from her landlord, her job, and the loan company. My sister totally screwed me over. Let's start with her job. Kelly worked at a restaurant, and the prior Friday night, she never took deposits to the bank. She left with a few $1,000s, and I was her emergency contact for work. Now on to the landlord. Kelly rented a room in a very nice home in a very nice neighborhood for an unbelievable price. He was calling because she left a note on her door, basement apartments, that she was leaving town for a while. She hadn't paid rent for over 2 months, left the burn shell of a car in front of his house, and in the 6 months she lived there, never once took her trash out. Finally, the loan company. They were calling because, you guessed it, she was behind on her payments. I had no idea where she would go. I didn't really know any of her friends. I called Dad in Kentucky. Guess who answered the phone? I was livid. I wanted my car back now, or I would be calling the police. She starts crying and carrying on until Dad took the phone. He begged me to give her a week to straighten everything out before I did anything. After a week, Dad calls and asks for another week, telling me Kelly is looking for a job and trying to turn her life around. Side note about our dad. He was battling cancer. Also, a few years earlier, we lost our mother to cancer, and our older brother died in a car accident a few months earlier. So Dad was quite a pushover for Kelly. In the meantime, I'm getting calls from her loan company almost daily. Her job stopped calling. Guess insurance paid them for their loss. Her landlord stopped calling too, assuming he had a hazmat team come and clean his basement, and he no longer rents rooms. But the investigator, I don't know what his title was, called so much. We were on a first-name basis. Let's call him Tom. It's been over 3 weeks with no contact from Kelly. Get updates from Dad, though. The next time Tom the investigator called, I would be ready. Tom called a few days later, averaged 3 calls per week, and had so much information for him. I told him where Kelly was working, the address and phone number of the restaurant, early 2000, no Google, what car she was driving, mine, still had my tags on it. The only thing I asked was not to bother my dad, who was going through very aggressive chemo. Tom was shocked and said he never had a family member offer this much info, ever. I laughed and told him he hasn't lived with my sister in her dumpster fire lifestyle. The aftermath. Kelly lost her job, new restaurant wouldn't tolerate her shenanigans, and didn't appreciate the police coming in to talk to them. She blew through, literally, all the money she stole and had to hide from new people. As for my car, well, we made a trip to see my dad and get the car back, but once we saw it, we were pissed. Broken windshield and rear door window. One of the side mirrors was hanging by the electrical cord. So much garbage in the entire car. Apparently, she lived in the car for a week. We signed the car over to her before we left. Dad told me it would be the last time he asked me to help Kelly out. Kelly just smirked like she had won the lottery. Before we left, we made sure to call our insurance carrier and remove the car from our coverage. We drove home, mad, but feeling like a 130-pound weight had been cut from our necks. I understand your dad had cancer. That really sucks. But you literally let her get away with crime, and then rewarded her for it. Why? You all were a bunch of enablers to a horrible narcissist. There's just no excuse. She should have had to deal with consequences. Kelly's birthday was never a month I looked forward to. Yes, she celebrates a really long time. It would start with reminders like, I know you won't remember my birthday, so you can get me X, or just give me money. Then later, I know where you can take me for my birthday lunch. We can go to XX a few days before my birthday, because days are filling up with friends wanting to celebrate with me. Then, she would literally watch the newspaper for birthday announcements or birthday wishes. Guess why I don't like to celebrate my birthday? But on to the story that made me laugh. It's birthday month, again. I haven't given any thought or consideration to Kelly. I have my own family and she is an adult, if only in age. She is working at a family-owned restaurant in a fairly busy strip mall. She has made the owners well aware of her upcoming birthday and straight out asks what they are planning to do for her. I believe they shrugged, but didn't laugh. Cool dudes. So Kelly comes up with what I'm sure she believes is a brilliant plan. She took out an ad in the local newspaper. Come to ABC Restaurant on Friday, month and day, and help Kelly celebrate her birthday. There will be cake for all. Then she bought a lot of decorations and a full sheet cake. It took up almost a full table. Friday arrives. Kelly goes to work. The lunch rush comes and goes, and not one single patron says squat to Kelly, and the cake is left almost untouched. Owner tells us that because of her stunt, many regulars stayed away that day, and they lost business. Does this faze Kelly? Not really. You see, because she has Saturday off for her big birthday blowout party to end all parties. She tells me she has invited over 100 people. She had asked me to take our grandma out to dinner and keep her out for as long as possible. Even better if we could just have her spend the night. Our dad worked nights, so he wouldn't be a problem. So we take grandma out to dinner. Love grandma. Would take her out every day if she wanted. During dinner, one of my boys asks about Kelly's party, and grandma raises an eyebrow and says, "What party?" We give her as many details about this soiree as we can. By the way, grandma's house. As soon as dinner was over, grandma insisted that we drive by her house, which we absolutely did. We expected the street to be lined with cars, people out on the lawn partying, small home. But when we approached, there was one car parked in the street and 2 in the driveway. Now we are all wondering, did the police come and break it up? It was about 9:00 p.m. and grandma said, the heck with this, take me home. We pull into the drive, help grandma out of the car, 90 plus, and we all go into the house. There were 4 people sitting in the living room, and Kelly was in the kitchen screaming on the phone. I asked what was going on. Did the police break up the party? Did the neighbors come over to complain? One guy stammered, "No, we were the only ones to show up, and she won't let us leave, because she's sure more people are coming." Grandma looks at this poor soul and tells all of them, Give her one more minute and they can leave. Then she winks at them. Grandma starts yelling, "What the heck is going on here? Who are you people?" Winks again. "Get out of my house, now!" And all four thanked her, and two even hugged us as they ran out the door. Kelly hears the commotion and comes out of the kitchen to see her hostages running for their freedom. She starts in about how we had no right to stop her party, and I, ruined everything. Grandma tells her to knock it off, that she's so drunk she just needs to go to bed and sleep it off. The aftermath? Well, Kelly never tried to make her birthday a national holiday again, so win-win for everyone. You have an awesome grandma. When nobody comes to your sister's birthday, sad noises. When nobody comes to your entitled sister's birthday, laughing noises. Aw, poor Kelly. Maybe her attitude toward everyone make people not want to be her friend or even around her. You got heck of ball, you and your family, to have been able to deal with this. Well, I can't even think of a word. Even Karen is too soft for her.